welcome to another edition of Military Transport. And this time around, my goodness gracious, my honor is to be able to talk to Karen K. Holmes, a woman of distinction, so many different accolades and awards in your lifetime. Karen, first off, welcome to Military Transport.
Thanks for having me on the show, Dee. And just grateful to be here. So hopefully what I have to say will encourage other transgender people in the military as well as outside of the military. Really, change their lives for the best for them, as well as for those who don't understand us, that they will understand who we really are.
For folks who are barely cluing into our series, let's briefly touch on your history from the moment that you decided to make your transition to where you are right now.
Oh, that's so funny. The title of basically when I did my TED Talk, as well as what's on my business card, is 40 Years of Wandering No More. And it took me about 40 years to figure this crap out. I wasn't very versed in the internet and stuff like that. All I knew is dressing from the age of 13, something just wasn't right. I just didn't know what it was until I went to a conference in Philadelphia called the Philadelphia Trans Health Conference back then, and now it's called the Philadelphia Trans Wellness Conference. And that was in June of 2001, and I actually came back fired up, gun-ho, wanting to transition, and October 1st of 2010, that's when I did the big switch. So it was a learning experience from attending that conference, seeing people who were like me and not understanding that, wow, we have the same story almost, and I was like, this is who I truly am. And I was like, wow. So that's how it all started for me.
It's a lot of courage behind being able to really understand that you are who you are and you're comfortable in your own skin, and you can give back to the community in so many different ways. And you've done that in your volunteering, both as Tony and now as Karen, and you've given back quite so much. Now, in the military end of this whole thing, being part of, I guess, what you would call a National Guard.
It's not really national. We're State Guard,
Okay.
and it was with the Maryland Defense Force, and we supported the Maryland National Guards. So Defense Force states, there's like maybe 23 states that have Defense Force soldiers, and it's about maybe 24,000 soldiers.
And how is it for you on a day-to-day basis? I know that you got Soldier of the Year award.
Yeah, yeah. In 2011, that's when I joined the Maryland Defense. I got NCO Soldier of the Year by the State Guard Association and the Maryland Defense Force, and in 2013, by the State Guard Association of the United States, I got Soldier of the Year of the country. So it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Your life in that form of the military helps so many others in the military try to come to grips with who they are and be able to move forward. Do your commanders support you so much, whether they help you use your knowledge to be able to help others in transition?
When I first transitioned, I transitioned before I joined the Maryland Defense Force, and not a lot of them nervous will just hear me and stuff like that, because one, I used to take a lot of photos in my mom's living room, and there's this big picture frame of me and my brother and my mom, and a couple of soldiers said, "Is that you in the picture?" And I didn't want to lie to them. I said, "Yeah, that's me." And until I had us, nobody really knew until that story came out with 2 News out of Baltimore. And because our regiment was up in Baltimore, that's when everybody said, wow, and they came up to me and they said, hey, great story. We liked it. And they kept giving me the support that I needed. And they actually told the National Guards that they had a transgender person with them. And there was no problem with that, with the tag. And So life went on. So right now I'm with the United States Veterans Reserve Corps, and I've got total full support from upper command and the other fellow soldiers.
Right. Okay, so for folks who are in the transition in the military, what kind of tips would you give them in order for them to be able to make that transition seamlessly while also keeping their personal identity intact? You know what I mean?
I think I do, and I think that falls back to one of the honors I received was I was one of 31 other women around the world with up and coming inspiring females with a platform. So I think my platform with the Maryland Defense Force before everybody really truly knew that I was transgender, it's like I was building who I am up before the soldiers, as far as my leadership, as being there no matter in the trenches of toughness and stuff like that. I was always entrenched in doing it. I took the responsibility to lead my soldiers that were below me when it came to certain things outside of our gates. And for instance, like there was an accident one time, we had just gotten off of duty, my team, which is with force protection, and outside the gate there was an accident, and we stopped. Everybody that was leaving at the same time stopped, and I said, hey, you do this, you do that, let me check out the victims and stuff like that. And then we just went to work, and next thing you know, next drill, we got all accommodation awards for what we did that night. So it was nice. So that's the message I really would like to say. Build that platform up in the military, so when you decide that you're going to transition, you're going to have the support and the backing from upper command to say, hey, we really have that faith in that soldier to do what we need to do as a soldier that's in readiness form. And that's the big thing. I think if you can prove yourself that you can do it, which we all can, it shouldn't change the status of whether we're male or female.
Absolutely. As long as the job gets done, it really doesn't matter one way or the other. It's all about gender equity anyway. Just knowing that you can go out there and do the job. So the resources that are out there for the military, what kind of things aren't there that you've encountered, and what's good, what's bad, that kind of a thing?
Resources as far as with the transgender community?
Yes.
I think there's nobody that's really talking about it, within the military. They kind of want to okay, yes, we know that person's in there that's transgender, but they're not really, I think, from my knowledge, as far as what I've been around, as far as putting resources together, like the shower area or the bathroom. Bathroom's not too bad unless there has a shower area in it. I know when I was at one of the camps that I was going to for the first time, I was petrified because I said, wow, come morning time, what am I going to do when I've got to take a shower with other, female soldiers? And I had a game plan set, but here's the easiest thing. Women are so self-conscious in themselves, and just putting a rod and a shower curtain around each shower head would make life so much easier instead of having this communal type shower. And that would have been one less stress, not only on myself, but the other women that didn't know. But like I said, I had a game plan. When I went into the shower area, that was, I had my towel around me. I was able to face the corner of the wall and stuff like this, and just concentrate on getting a shower and getting the hell out of there real quick.
In your TED Talk, you talk about having to do that one thing where we all have to do that, and that's you got to go and relieve yourself. You got to pee.
Right.
That's kind of
tricky.
I
mean, it is, but like in the bathroom portion of that locker, basically room area for showers, they had the individual stalls with doors, and that was great. And a lot of the female soldiers, they were going into the stall area to change clothes in there or went room. So like I said, it's a challenge, but if they just make a little simple thing, like I said, around the shower heads as far as curtain rod and curtain, I think life will be great, because transgender people aren't going to be walking around naked showing their butts, like the women aren't going to be doing either. So
Yeah, what comes to mind immediately though is having to work out in the field. Let's say you, as a military service person, you have to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, or you're out in the field, and so
right,
basically you got to contend with whatever you've got out there in order to be able to maintain your self composure at all times, right?
right. I know after I had my surgery, which was great, your mind is still thinking, like when I've worked out in the field, I just got to take a pee, but here's the difference. I don't have like my male parts anymore, but yet I've got to stoop out in the woods, just
Right.
like any other female would. And I think in my TED talk, I said, I've got that planned out later because that's a pain in the butt to do that. But they've got this device called a Go Girl that you can get at least where I got mine at Ranger Surplus, or they probably have them at camping stores and stuff like that. And it's called Go Girl, and you stand up peeing like you're, just normally peeing.
I think I saw a couple of those at a Cabela's and a Bass Pro Shop. So they're becoming more and more mainstream. So that's a good thing for everything
Yeah.
all around. So in your service, State Guard, and you already spoke about how the command really supported you. So how in your life now, how do you go about helping others in transition in the military go from A to B to C, and help them become the men and women they want to be? They know they are, they're just in a different body.
At least so far, I have spoken at Fort Detrick, Fort Meade. Actually, it was on the network, the Armed Forces Network television. So my source getting around, talking to other soldiers, and I think it's just basically knowing who we are, accepting who we are. We put a lot of training into our soldiers,
right?
And to get rid of that, put training in there, it's just mind-boggling to say we don't want you anymore because you're transgender, but yet you're able to maybe take a Scud missile out of the air that might be coming to hit the Capitol. And that's what we're talking about, the training that we've put in. And actually, there is a friend of mine who said that they actually could do that. They actually did that type of work. So it's tough. It's really tough. But we need to believe our soldiers that we can do it. I mean, we were trained to do it before you knew that we were transgender. What difference does it make? We still got that knowledge in our head.
Exactly. The whole notion of gender out in the field it should go away when it comes time for the battle. It's all one person knows how to do that job, and you work as a team member until the mission is completed.
Right.
And then afterwards, logic says, well, you forget who's who. You just remember that everyone worked together in order to make that mission complete.
Right. And right now, with the United States Veterans Reserve Corps, we've got fellow soldiers that are veterans. We've got some civilians. We all have one thing in mind. We have a mind and a heart to serve. I've gotten just recently, about a month ago, now promoted to first sergeant. I've gone through a couple of promotions with this command, and they totally get what I'm bringing to the plate, and that's what we want to see everybody be able to to have that platform to say, hey, this is what I'm bringing to the plate. You can accept it. And I know, like when I did volunteer work, and I still do with the Red Cross and CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team, and I told them, yeah, I got something to tell you. And they're like giving me this strange look like, what are you going to tell me? And I told them I was transgender and I was going to be transitioning full time. each and every one of them went, I'm just so happy that you're not leaving the organization. And I'm like, wow, that tells you they value what I bring to the organization. That's what I want each and every command to understand. This is what your soldiers bringing to the organization. And that's what we need to do, is keep them, not because of them being transgender or whatever.
See, that's the lesson I think we need to teach the American public and the global public, that it matters not about who we are, other than we are men and women who know our jobs and we give back to the community. You've worked so much with the American Red Cross, I mean, and so many other different organizations, and that's very admirable. I've known of a couple of trans people who are afraid to go out into the public, and I said, don't do that. Be yourself, go out there and give back to the community. They'll not know or not care that you're trans. They'll just know that you're a giving, loving, caring person who wants to give back to the community. That's bottom line.
That's funny that you said that, because I kind of like was going through a battle with somebody who just happened to pop up on my post that I did this morning about me being an advocate now. Would I've been the same type of person being an advocate if I lived back in the 40s and 50s, when Black people had a really hard time going to restaurants, drinking from a certain bathroom, and this person took it way out of line, like I didn't know what it was like, and all they're doing, they have clients, that person isn't even transgender, and it was just, oh, believe, I said, I gotta get off here, I got an interview to do today. But I wanted them to understand that dysphoria is to that one person is not something whether everybody's dysphoria. Everybody may not be, because everybody has a different story and background. And I said for myself, yeah, I had dysphoria, but now I'm completely totally happier than I ever been in my entire life.
I haven't gone to your StoryCorps interview and your conversation. I did a StoryCorps with my best friend.
Okay.
And we talked about my transition, because she needed to know more about what was going on with me and how I haven't changed. It's just what's changed is the gender preference from he to she. And so she needed to know all of that. And somehow we wound up in StoryCorps. In your story, who did you talk to?
With StoryCorps?
Yes.
That's funny, because I call her, and I'm going to try not to cry, because she's my hero. Her name is Andrea. She was a friend of mine and one of the attorneys at our agency. She still is. And I tell her every time I see her, say, you have no idea what you did for me in my life, because she was when I came back from the Philadelphia Trans Health Conference, I went straight to her office that Monday and I said, where is she? And she was on vacation, and then went from vacation to travel. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to see her for 2 or 3 more weeks. I want to transition on the job. So I wanted to get her expertise in what she thought I needed to do to transition. And when we talked, she said, look, let me go talk to the director of Civil Rights and Inclusiveness, not giving your name, and tell her your story. And she said that the director was in tears. She came back and told me about the response. And I said, okay, I'll meet with her. And so I did, and I got the same response, that she was in tears too. And they told me, they said, just give us 3 weeks to work everything up, and we'll do, I'm sorry, not 3 weeks, but 3 weeks, and see about you getting transition on the job. So Andrea was a major part. She said that, which is so funny. She says, if anybody with you, she says, I'll kill them. And I'm sure she meant, in a polite way, but it was the support I got from her. I just was like, she's, like I said, I'm indebted to her, and she keeps saying no, 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 and I say yes, yes, yes. And this is now we've been I've known her since I think 2001 or so, and yet Andrea helped me in 2010 with this whole thing. So we were totally good friends before, and we still are great friends today. And I'm just indebted to her confidence and support she's given me. And
You know,
she actually did my thing interview.
ah, that's nice. You know, that's something that's really important that I think both of us need to impress upon those on the transition level is to really have that support system. And it starts with one close person and then stretch it all